Karl Ove Knausgaard, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
So here I have this little book. What made you move from that maximalist, style to this?
I wanted to do something completely different. So in my struggle series, it's very much about the internal life and my internal turmoils. And these books are about the outer world much, much more. And they're shorter.
Did you feel you needed to get away from the turmoil of your inner world?
Yeah, very much so. And
because it was too painful?
It was painful, but also that, I have explored it, I have written about it, I found a style to explore it in. And you have to challenge yourself as a writer. You have to do something different. And this was the most different I could think of. Very, very little books, very, very, there's almost nothing in them. And the miniature books.
Why did you decide to do that? Completely different from your first one.
Well, it is... I'm very much trying to do things I am not able to do, things that is difficult, things that I don't know how will turn out. So I think, to be a novelist, the first thing is that you can't really know how to write a novel. You have to invent it while you're writing, because then there is a certain freshness to it, certain newness to it. So I always try to do what I can't do.
So it's really kind of challenging yourself too and busting through your fears, maybe? Or your insecurities?
It's all kind of things. In the writing, it is all about getting to new places, places you haven't been before. And when you write about yourself, that could be hard to find. But it is possible through writing.
Well, actually, you know what? You have a beautiful passage there, don't you? Can I ask you to read it?
Yeah, of course, yeah. Yeah, exactly. What makes life worth living? No child asks itself that question. To children, life is self-evident. Life goes without saying. Whether it is good or bad makes no difference. This is because children don't see the world, don't observe the world, don't contemplate the world, but are so deeply immersed in the world that they don't distinguish between it and their own selves. Not until that happens, until a distance appears between what they are and what the world is, does the question arise, what makes life worth living? And later, the world expresses its being, but we are not listening. And since we are no longer immersed in it, experiencing it as a part of ourselves, it is as if it escapes us.
It's really beautiful, and it's really interesting because you're asking these questions in the Seasons Quartet, your second opus. But in The Struggle, your first big launching work, you must have asked yourself what makes life worth living, right? I mean, you describe a really difficult childhood. You describe a very harsh father, authoritarian. You're afraid of him. You say even you're afraid if you put a cup in the wrong place or you lost your sock or something, what would his reaction be? Did you ever think what makes life worth living?
No, never. Never thought of that until I became a teenager. And then kind of everything changed when you are in a world a bit differently, because then you see yourself from the outside.
Your books have been a sensation all over the world, obviously in your native Norway, all over Europe, but in the United States and everywhere. They're translated into many, many languages, and it really requires time and effort to read them. They're really long. And the great Jeffrey Eugenides, the novelist, said that, what did he say about you? He said that you have broken the sound barrier of the autobiographical novel. Have you been surprised by the global reaction to that book?
Yeah, that is to put it very mildly. When I started to write this thing, it was so little and so small and so local. I thought no one would be interested in it because it was about me and my own life and nothing else, So I expected nothing in Norway. I thought maybe very literary interested persons will read it, but nothing. And then it just exploded. And then I thought, okay, that's Norway. That's because, we are related somehow and they want to peek into another life. But then it happened in other countries too. And it is still, I'm still amazed. I was just stopped outside the street here for like 2 minutes ago. Was someone coming up, reading the book, wanting to relate to me and my life. And it's the dream of a writer, is so fantastic. So
But
I have to remind myself about it.
How lucky you are,
Yeah,
but also what a vein you've tapped. Why are they so fascinated by, let's face it, the minutiae, the
Boring.
laborious
Yeah.
minutiae
Yeah.
of your every single second of life?
That puzzles me, but I think the pattern in people coming to me, want to talk to me, is they say, like one sentence about the book, and then I start to talk about their own lives. So this is kind of a vessel to get things up from your own life that you can think about and relate to. We are much more similar. That's my experience through this. We are much more similar than we like to think we are. I mean,
maybe that's what people are yearning, that sense of we're all alike, we're all community, at a time when everything is being fractured and fragmented.
And even in, in a sense of being lonely, there is a certain togetherness. And you see that in literature, it is an us, it is we. Even though if you are lonely and reading a book by yourself, there's a connection. And
part of your style is memory and minutiae. And you write about your father. That's the central, at least the death of your father.
Yeah.
Because you said that he had died surrounded by empty bottles of alcohol.
Yeah.
And what did your family say to you?
They said two things, that I couldn't, reveal family secrets, and it is lies, what I'm writing. So it felt like an attack. It felt like I was attacking them. And, which I did, and I think it is kind of a curse for a family to have a writer in its midst, But I didn't want to hurt anyone, but I could take the decision. This was before it was published. I sent it to them. They read it. They said, no way. I could have said, okay, I won't publish, but I did publish.
But the central point is, was it true? You were being told by your family that you had made it up.
Yeah, no, that was...
And so how did you resolve that?
It was very strange, because I got a lot of letters and saying, this didn't happen that way. And I started to, did it happen? Have I exaggerated? Have I made it into something? And it was tormenting me. And then I got a letter from one person that was with the ambulance, wrote me. And she said she was reading the book and realizing I was in that house. And she wrote me and she said it was worse. And then, that was the first time I was angry. Because... Angry
at your
yes,
family?
Yes, they've said that my version of my father's death was a lie, but it was my father's death, is kind of, very...
But memory is also really difficult, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And that's also a subject in the book that's very, very important, because this isn't an objective version of the happenings in my life. It's how I remembered it, and memories are... deceiving us, that we know. You're making things so they suit who you want to be. Yeah. Almost, subconsciously you do that all the time. So this isn't a book about the truth. It's a book about trying to...
Yeah, I have to tell you, I'm fascinated by that, because you're in opposition. You, on the one hand, want to be believed, but you say it's not about the truth, it's about memories, and memories are subjective.
Yeah.
So it must be this sort of big conflict going on in your head the whole time.
Yeah, and that's why the book is so incredibly long, It's over 3,000 pages, and it is because there are several levels. There's one thing you see and understand when you are 10, and then you understand it completely different when you are 20. And so to capture that alive, you have to have all these levels of different, almost conflicting memories,
But the idea of masculinity today is very current.
Yeah.
What are your conclusions? What is masculinity? What makes it not, quote unquote, toxic?
That replies, a novel. I remember I picked I like flowers and colors, and I remember I picked flowers to my father, and he just threw it away. The boys don't pick flowers. That kind of...
Really?
That was the 70s, but I think it's straightforward. It's you have to find your way in that too. I mean, that's...
Can you hug other men?
If they do like that, I do it.
If they initiate?
Yes, but if not, I don't.
Is that a you thing or a Viking thing?
It's no one hugged men when I grew up. It started when I was like in the gymnasium. It was kind of a liberal thing.
Which is a school gymnasium, yeah.
So we started to do that. But I mean, I wrote that in the book about... I never said to my mother that I love her. Never said to my brother that I love him. They never said that to me. It's like, don't say that. Don't go there.
Yeah. I feel a little bit like a cad for bringing up this criticism, because you speak very eloquently and a lot of people will understand a lot of the emotions that you're talking about. But to go back to the minute detail that you recount, certainly in My Struggle, you obviously have read some of the negative criticism. There was at least one from The Nation. I know you don't read your reviews,
exactly.
but from The Nation.
You're going to do it for me?
Yeah, I'm going to do it for you.
Okay, great.
I did all the good ones. Who cares, I kept wondering, says this critic. Why is he telling me this? Who is he to think his life is worth this kind of treatment? I wasn't just bored, I was angry about being bored. I felt my time was being wasted.
Well, I have sympathy for, for that critic. That was what I thought the reaction would be all over, you know. That was what I thought. I think it was what happened is an enigma, a mystery.
We'll have to send this to the critic. I think that's a good answer.
Yeah.
What is next on your agenda?
I'm writing a novel now, which is pure fiction, and I want to deal with something that is very difficult to deal with. It has to do with very, you know, very present and yeah. But I won't reveal too much.
You can't tell me nothing about it?
I don't want to.
You don't want to? Then I'm not going to push you.
No.
No?
Because I can fail, and then this would look very stupid.
Well, no, you can also, you know, publish it, and it can be another sensation. So we'll wait and see. Karl Ove Knausgaard, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much.